Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about what happened to my child. And this is a story that's coming from personal experience. I remember all of my children went through this stage. When they got to a particular grade, all of them began to get very dull. And these are children that can read, know their work. And if children have problems, usually it manifests by pre-K, by kindergarten, definitely by the end of kindergarten. If a child has disabilities and stuff like that, it will be noticeable, right? But with my children, when they all of them, with the exception of one child, when they hit upper grade, then stuff started to happen. And all of them, at every one of them, when they hit the same exact grade, they begin to get dull. And I'm like, Lord, what is going on? What are these children that seemingly are coming from can reading, not reading, having difficulties, and I help them with their homework, so I know that the children are not dull. They're smart children, but every one of them, when they got to every one of my kids, when they, except with the exception of one of them, I've seen when they got to this particular grade, then everything started to fall apart. They began to give problems in school, especially when it came to learning. And then my last child, well, I don't know, like the light went off, like something is not right here. Why, when all of these children get to this same grade level, something is wrong. Why the child in kindergarten can read and read in sentences, and then they get to this upper grade level and they can't read? That don't make no sense. Why the child is being on this and that and that, and then suddenly it, it just fall apart. So we took it to the Lord in prayer because it became evident. I mean, it was kind of like evident with the other children, but with, I don't know, maybe the light just came on for me after I've dealt with it so much time. But definitely, it became evident when I was looking at the child and she was reading. And then after she got in this particular grade, like I said, every one of my children, with the exception of one child, when they got in this particular grade, their work started to go haywire. And I'm like, with this particular, I don't know if I maybe noticed it more, but child was reading full sentences. And then when they got up in a higher grade, they can't read. And I'm like, Lord, something is not right here. One and one is not adding up here. One and one is not making two in this. So I just started to pray. We started to pray and asking God to restore the glory, to restore the destiny, because it is quite evident with the child that the stuff was taken. The glory was tampered with, and every one of them, with the exception of one child, when they got to a certain grade, their glory was taken. So you have to be careful with your children. You have to, because you will see a child that's very, very smart and they could become dull, and you're like, but I know this child is smart. What happened? That's because someone spiritually tampered with their glory. They exchanged it, and many people will do that from within. They will tamper with your child's glory, and it's easy to do with a child because a child is an innocent person. So I began to pray, and little by little we start seeing improvements. Well, the teacher is going to take the credit because she's saying, there's been improvement, but all the credit and all the glory belongs to God, because if God had not intervened, and I'm just saying this to someone because you're watching your child that you knew was very smart became dull, and you're like, I know this child is smart. I've seen this child. I know what this child is capable of doing, but how did a child get so dull? And that is because someone messed with their destiny. Someone tampered with them spiritually, and in order for it to be restored, you will have to pray and you will have to see God for God to restore, because only God can. Doing other things will not, because it was done spiritually. So for it to be undone, you have to go back to the source, and the source has to undo it spiritually. Or as everything else you will be doing it in vain, because it was done spiritually. And the Bible said the things that are spiritual are eternal, but the things that are seen are temporary. So if you can see it, it is temporary.